Authentic is your 2020 Kentucky Derby 146 champ. We will not have a Triple Crown winner in 2020 as we are back here live at Churchill Downs. I'm Kent Taylor.
Coach, what do you think? Now it's game week for these championship games. As a coach, what was that week like for you?
It's incredible. I'm telling you what, you get so excited.
It has to help with recruiting when you get those national TV lights and ESPN College Game Day here for a couple days of coverage.
Absolutely. We know it's a different time now where we're limited.
Now, that takes, obviously, whoever it was who tested positive and maybe some contact tracing out, some players out of practice. When can you get back to practice? Do you even know the answer to that? I'm joined each and every week by Bellarmine head basketball coach Scotty Davenport. Why? Well, because the show's named after him. So, Coach, welcome.
This is a special night.
Oh, we've got some great guests coming up.
We've got surprises.
We do have some surprises and a little something different this week. We've got a game to talk about. I know you got a little upset last week. I put the week ahead schedule with a question mark, and then within a matter of hours, Miami of Ohio.
No, let's be totally transparent.
Guys, it has been well documented, obviously, over the last couple weeks. We've talked about how there will not be fans here at Churchill Downs on Kentucky Derby Day. Well, the fans are far from the only thing missing.
Coincidence, defined as a remarkable concurrence of events or circumstances without apparent causal connection. Maybe it is a coincidence. And what has been the strangest year in memory, the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby will be run in September instead of May. September 4th and 5th, to be exact. Coincidentally, those days have history under the Twin Spires. On September 4th, 2018, the body of Churchill Downs Vice President of Racing Communications, John Asher, was driven around the historic mile-and-a-half oval under the Twin Spires. And that night, thousands traveled to Central Avenue to celebrate a man who was the soul of the track.
I thought that was the coolest thing when I saw that they drove him around the track. I said, man, that is really cool. And he would have loved that.
Maybe fate works better, defined as the development of events beyond a person's control, regarded as determined by a supernatural power. On September 5th, 2018, John Asher was laid to rest. 2 years to the day later, the top 3-year-olds in the world will run for the roses, a race that helped define John's too short 62 years.
Love John. I mean, John and I were, very, very close friends. He was the best. I died way too young. He was just, such a fabulous guy, wonderful spokesman for Churchill, for the whole industry. I mean, heart of gold. I just can't say enough good things about John.
He'll be watching from above on the first Saturday in September, and would be quick to remind us that we are just 238 days from Kentucky Derby 147.
Yeah, I've got my John Asher pin on right now, and trust me, you can feel him here at Churchill Downs. Every once in a while I'll turn around and think I see him walk through the paddock, and trust me, he's looking down on this Derby day. We'll be right back.
This is a story about a bond between a woman and baseball, and a bond between a grandmother and a grandson. The silence is deafening on baseball diamonds across the country. America's pastime might be past its prime. Instead of a Little League practice, 12-year-old Logan Watanabe was practicing social distancing, batting practice for one. Who knows, maybe Logan could one day play for the Reds, but this sport is in danger of losing fans. Fans like
Minnie Lee Algis.
Minnie Lee was Mike Murphy's grandmother, and in the last few months has taken on a new life on Twitter at @GScorebook. Grandma's Reds Scorebook.
Her being a shut-in, this was her life, and we can see it poured out right in front of us. Marty and Joe were her life. She wrote down every single thing those two gentlemen said on their broadcast.
and this one belongs to the Reds.
Grandma loved the Cincinnati Reds, loved them so much that every game she was in her chair with the radio booming the dulcet tones of Marty Brenneman and Joe Nuxall.
You could seriously hear her radio.
And the 38,216 at Riverfront Stadium are standing.
2 or 3 houses down the street, as you were walking up to her house, clearly. You could hear Marty and Joe clearly.
And she always had a notebook nearby, a new one for every season, creating her own scoring system. Minnie Lee Alges scored at home from 1973 to 1992. She documented it all, from Hank Aaron's historic 715th home run in 1974 to a Tom Seaver no-hitter in 1978. To Pete Rose getting hit number 4,192 on September 11th, 1985. Grandma did answer to a higher power, so she missed a few games every season.
With her being a Catholic and giving up the games for her Lenten sacrifice, it meant everything to her, the Reds. This is what she looked forward to.
Every once in a while, she also had some other things going on, which she noted, like when she was baking turkey pot pie and apple pie for Mary's welcome home from Roberta's. It is a collection that belongs in Cooperstown or the Reds Museum.
Her getting the recognition that she never was seeking it, but she deserves it because she put forth a Hall of Fame effort for 20 years.
And if the powers that be don't find their way back to the bases and get Logan out of the dugout, a generation of Minnie Lees may never fall in love with the game. This is the binder that Mike Murphy put together for his brother's wedding a few years ago. It has all of the best excerpts from his grandma's Reds scorebook. And by the way, Marty Brenneman is a huge fan. That's going to do it for sports. Back with more after this. It's the final night of the regular season in Indiana, but we kick off tonight at Mayo High School. The Dogs have been scoring in bunches, almost 59 points a game since that season opening loss at Trinity, but it was Fern Creek who got going first. Gerard Trainer to Levi Malone for 38 yards to the Dogs' 12-yard line. Tigers in business, but the Mayo defense held. Got a 4th down stop, and then Jalen Bross gets loose. This is a candidate for Run of the Year. He gets a little help from his friends here, and this one eventually covered 41 yards. I thought he might score. He carried 5 times for 77 yards on this drive. They go 94 yards. The final 8 by Bross here. PAT no good, 6-0 Mayo. The Dogs recovered a short kickoff and were threatening when Nick Schutte was picked off by Davion Davis. How about that grab? Tigers in business, but the Mayo defense gets another stop on the next Mayo drive. Those two hook up again. This time, Davis takes this pick over 65 yards into Mayo territory. But guess what? The Dogs defense held again. The Tigers could not punch it in. It was 9-0 Mayo when Fern Creek did finally get on the board. A one-play, 53-yard drive. Terrence Mitchell's fast and he sprints in for 6. PAT no good. 9-6 Mayo at the half. Looks like we got a ball game, right? Well, the crowd of around 500 thought so. The Mayo fans wait for their team to get going, and they did just that in the third quarter. They were dominant in that quarter. A steady dose of Mr. Bross. That touchdown gave him some breathing room at 16-6, and then he added another. Now, unofficially tonight, 278 yards, 3 touchdowns on 29 carries.
Sounds like a
Dogs
candidate.
win it 38-6. They're 4-1.
I think it's going to be an exciting finale in the state championships. Look for a great game between these two.
It kicks off at 7 next Saturday. We'll be back here live at 7:30. We'll talk about that and all the action, all of us, except for Coach Redmond. He doesn't care enough to join us next week, but we will see you then.